Hello! Welcome to Duncan Egg Bricks and to another mock/mod video. Today, as you might have guessed, we're going to be taking a look at a LEGO Star Wars mock, or in this case, it's actually somebody else's own creation. So here I have set number 75301, Luke Skywalker's X-Wing Starfighter. This came out, it was either last year or the year before, part of the kind of scaled down ships that the LEGO Star Wars series has been putting out, and it's a decent enough set. The proportions are maybe a little bit off. It made use of these slightly newer 3x3 engine inlets. Incidentally, I have made some modifications to this already, just with the vanes inside there, but we'll ignore that for now. So it's a pretty decent set, and comes with a few minifigures, obviously most importantly including Luke and R2, but I thought I would have a look around and see what people have done to make this set better, and found a builder on Rebrickable called Quarries Workshop, who is quite well known. I have seen creations of theirs before, and I decided to take a look at the version that they have created, and it is fantastic. You may also be familiar with Jerrick's version, which is available via via BrickVault, which is also very good, but a lot of reviews say that that's quite a fiddly model to put together, requires quite a lot of cutting of various smaller parts, such as hoses, which I'm not particularly a fan of, and the version by Quarries Workshop seemed like a really good compromise, which uses a lot of the pieces from this set, and also a bunch of other ones in order to create a brand new version. So I've bought the instructions. I'm going to go ahead and see what pieces I've got both in this model and in my collection, and then I'm going to go ahead and build the brand new version and tell you all about it. So after sorting some parts out in my collection and a couple of Bricklink orders, here is the finished product, and I have to say it's very, very impressive. Now, this is quite accurate to how the X-Wings are actually supposed to look. It's not 100% accurate, but then again, it is LEGO, and also this is designed to be a lot more buildable than some custom creations. That being said, there were a few parts of it which were a little bit tricky to get together. You can see that the windscreen is not completely sitting flush, but it can do if you put things in the right place. But overall, the instructions were very easy to follow, kind of standard Bricklink Studio program instructions, but they've been quite well thought out, and it went together quite easily. A couple of fiddly bits, but it was worth it to achieve that detail. So one of the most important things that's been changed on this is the profile of the nose. The X-Wings have got a really complex design, lots of different angles all coming together, which even the most recent UCS version hasn't quite captured completely, though it did, by all accounts, a very good job. But in this scale, I think this is a very, very good compromise. So it uses a similar technique where it goes from a 4-wide construction here to a 3-wide at the front, but it also actually incorporates the slopes up and down here. I'll show you how those are attached. Sorry for the squeaking there. So there are actually modified 1x1 bricks in there with studs on all 4 sides. They actually sit in the middle of a jumper, and then these are hinge pieces here. So the hinge attaches to one of them, and that allows you to get that slope down that way, but also that slope down towards the nose as well, and they just tuck in behind panel pieces in white and dark red, and that's just the perfect level of slope. Oh, that's one of the parts I'll come to talk to in a minute. But you can just see that there's that slope down in both directions, and that actually allows you to get the canopy in at the correct, slightly backwards sloping angle, which means there is a tiny bit of a gap just where that slope is there, but not enough to make a huge difference, and the end result looks so much better than the kind of flat version in most official LEGO sets. There are a few details on this which are a little bit weak. I don't think this set would pass the kind of LEGO instruction test or the LEGO play testing, such as this part underneath, which is only attached by a couple of headlight bricks underneath there, but it is pretty stable, all things considered. It's not going to come off unless you really knock it about, and the entire thing is still swooshable. Obviously, we'll talk about the slightly obvious thing here, which is the nose, which is a really, really good design. In fact, I'll take one of these wedges off the side and just show you the design inside. So there, this is deliberate. Those pieces are not meant to meet. It just creates this smoother slope just there, and it's created by having this modified brick and then this bracket, which is actually kind of on its back, and they're just connected together using these pieces on the side. In fact, I've clearly put that in the wrong place, but there we go. But it does mean that the entire thing is actually only held on by this curved slope at the top. So it can be a little bit easy to knock off, but no, it seems to be all right. Managed to get that on okay. I'm also aware that I have dropped one of the guns. That's fine. Again, this is designed more for kind of light play and display mainly. But yeah, it's really, really nice design. And one of the things that's most similar on this compared to the original set are the wings. They're very, very similar, just a few minor changes to make better use of the detail. The modification here with these Technic pins with bars and then these tiles around them, that's my own modification. They're attached in the same way that I attached them on the previous one. So there's actually a 1x1 Technic brick with a pinhole and then a pin with friction, and then you can just see that bar sticks out the back. So they can rotate a little bit, but they do tend to stay on pretty well, so I'm quite happy with that. One of the major changes in this is actually the structure of the main fuselage. If I turn it around, you can kind of see the profile at the back. This isn't a completely accurate profile, but it is much more accurate than the version in the set. They, again, have this weird sort of hexagonal shape at the back, which this does capture. It is a hexagon, so it's slightly not the right shape. But this is really impressive, and these slopes continue on round to the front just there, just give this a much more accurate profile and make it look a little bit less straight-sided. What I think is most impressive, though, is that Quarry, or Quarries Workshop, however you want to call their name, they have managed to take the essence of the folding mechanism inside this, which is quite a complicated mechanism that basically relies on the friction created by a lot of Technic parts in order to create wings that will open and stay open. And what they've done is they've distilled it down to the very basic elements that it needs, but can still function. So in a similar way, you just press down in the middle, in this case it's this round tile, and the wings open. And they stay open, and they open at a pretty good angle. It's very, very impressive how the actual mechanism works, and it does make me wonder why LEGO went to extremes to kind of over-engineer their own version of the mechanism, because it ended up taking up a huge amount of space and meaning that the ship couldn't be as accurate as they might have wanted it to be. But again, comes down to play and making sure that this is usable for a bit of rougher handling than it might get from someone building this version. Just close them manually like that. One of the benefits of the new structure is that there's a bit more space to put your astromech, in this case R2-D2, so he just goes back here and just sits in place with a single stud, and he sits a lot lower, and that looks a lot better. Basically just his head poking out above the top of the ship. There's a little bit of space on either side, but that's not really avoidable given how much space there actually is. I've just knocked off the gun again, but I will leave it. These gun designs are okay. As you can tell, they're probably a bit fragile. They just use jumpers and then a couple of 1x1 round studs with a hole through them, kind of representing the kind of, I'm not sure what they are, the kind of end of the gun, which is not so completely accurate, but it's more accurate than just having the dish pieces, which is what the previous version did use. This does feature folding landing gear, unlike the other set, which is really nice. So the front one folds in a similar way to ones we've had previously, where it just tucks up inside there, which is really neat. Back ones aren't as neat, but it's about the best version that I've found. I did do some trial and error trying to work out a better version before I actually ordered the pieces, but yeah, they just fold backwards like that. Folds flat, so does that. So from most angles, you can't really see them. If I get my hand out of the way, because you can just see the end of the foot there, but it's not a big deal if you wanted to put it on a stand or something like that, especially with the wings open. I think that looks really impressive. That really captures the look and feel of it a lot better. Let's fold these wings down, and let's just put Luke inside the cockpit as well, because that's also very important. Managed to detail up the cockpit nicely, including some interesting part usage. So we've got a nice kind of padded seat with a curved slope there, a couple of black sausages, which I think represent the kind of pipe work or maybe the padding around the seat, and then we've got some printed controls. There we go. You can just see those printed cheese slopes, if I can get it to focus. And you've also got a clear, trans-clear 1x1 round tile there as you know, some sort of display, maybe where R2's language gets translated. And then you've got this bar here, which acts as the flight yoke. And I have knocked another one of the tips of the guns off. That's okay, I will pick them up in a minute. Luke just sits on there using a couple of jumpers, and then this closes around him nicely, and he can just about see over the top of the windscreen. Not absolutely perfect, he could maybe do with being raised up by a stud, but it looks pretty good, all things considered. So yeah, this is a really brilliant modification of the set. It's a bit of a toss-up as to whether it's a modification or whether it's a complete MOC. I would argue that the main mechanism is a kind of modification, but the actual design of the ship, apart from the wings, is very much a MOC, and a very good one at that. You do have to treat it a little bit carefully, but yeah, see, doing that again. Don't pick it up by the nose, that's basically the rule there. But I think it's a really nice design, and I'm much happier with having this on display than I was with the previous version. I thought I'd just show you a bit more how the mechanism works inside. It's a similar principle to the one in the official set. It just requires taking off a few parts to separate the two halves of the X-Wing. Inside you have got this bit here, which acts as the kind of actuator. That pushes down, and as it pushes down, it actually pushes these parts here, which are attached to the lower wings, but they're actually pivoted in the middle, so this pushes them down, and it actually pushes the inside bits of the upper wings, which are pivoted to the outside, so that downwards motion actually produces motion in opposite directions, which is a really clever thing. You just have to be careful not to push it slightly too far, because you can end up breaking things, but I think it's such a clever mechanism, and the space it takes up is really only about 4 studs long versus at least 6 or maybe 8 of the mechanism on the original one. So a big improvement, a fantastic mechanism, and a wonderful display piece. So there we have it. This is the Quarries Workshop modification of the 75301 X-Wing. If you're like me and you really want to get a better, more accurate minifig scale X-Wing, and you either have the set or you don't have it, then I would definitely recommend checking these out. It wasn't too expensive. I think I paid about £5. I think they're $7. So yeah, it worked out at about £5 for the instructions. I've not been sponsored or paid or anything. I just went around and had a look at what instructions were out there, and this was the one that really stood out to me. So I would highly recommend checking out the Quarries Custom page on Quarries Workshop on Rebrickable, and yeah, just at least taking a look at this creation and a lot of the other ones that he's come up with. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then please leave a like, leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think of this MOC, and if you'd like to see future creations like this, and subscribe to the channel for future MOC and mod videos, and I will be back again very soon.